Welcome to Abby Normal Brains, a feel-good podcast following two-time childhood cancer and brain tumor survivor, Abby.
I'm her host and the survivor, Abby. I'm joined by my mom, artist, and caregiver, Jill. Together, we will try to uplift your day while bringing you more information on the world of childhood cancer.
On today's show, we will discuss why we are podcasting and what tired looks like for a childhood cancer survivor. We'll also have jokes and your tarot outlook for the week.
Now here's the show.
So Abby and I have been sitting around talking about trying to figure out with her homeschool, how do we get Abby moving towards her goal of being what? What do you want to be?
I want to be a motivational speaker, and I've already wrote a speech, which I know I motivated people, and I want to do that more. I want to motivate more people.
Exactly. I was just going to mention that, how you recently had the wonderful opportunity through Leaps of Love and the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life to give a speech that you wrote yourself, and there's even a YouTube copy of this video. We can link that up, that you gave all yourself about what it's like to be a childhood cancer survivor. And ever since you've been in the hospital, you've kind of had this idea of wanting to be a motivational speaker because you notice that people seem to pick up on your light and how positive and how friendly you are. Like, what's the biggest compliment you get all the time?
I get like, you're so positive, you're so friendly, like you're just so nice, how you're so nice still. And, it's easy thing for me. I like being positive, I like being nice, and I want to share my motivational messages. I want to share my positive messages and make everyone nice and, the world nice.
Well, I hate to tell you, or maybe I shouldn't hate to tell you, you make my day better. So I figure maybe I'll quit being so selfish with you. And I'll share my Abby with the world.
I mean, that is kind of a good pun, though. You're selfish.
I would like to be in a shell right now, yes. But yes. And then we got to thinking and looking at other modes of how other people motivate and inspire. And you actually happened across a person that I've been reading here lately, Glennon Doyle, and her podcast, and how her We Can Do Hard Things podcast seems to do such a positive motivation. And we thought, well, how can we translate that over into like your goals, along with the journeys you've been through of pediatric cancer and the fact that we do need more awareness to what's going on. And honestly, I think this will help with answering that hard question that we get all the time, which people don't think it's a hard question because they ask it all the time. But for us, it's the hardest question we get every time we leave the house. How is Abby doing? Don't mind my phone. Apparently I didn't quiet it today. But the hardest question is, how is Abby doing? Which, I mean, Abby, how are you doing?
I am doing great right now. I feel really awake. I feel really happy and just like, all around awesome and great.
Exactly. And notice how she said, I'm doing great right now. Like, this moment, yes, she's great, but it could be this afternoon you're not doing so great. It changes just that quick, doesn't it, Abby? That's why. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, it does. I seriously, sometimes I feel great in the morning and then tired in the afternoon, or tired in the morning and then great in the afternoon. It all depends on my body and how it wants to feel that day.
But for you, what does tired entail? Because for most people, they think tired, they just think, oh, I've worked all day and my body's wore down, or oh, I'm sleepy, I didn't get enough rest, or oh, what does tired look like for you?
I am more wore down. My brain cannot think straight. My ears, they're ringing really loud usually when I'm super tired, and I just can't really get anything done because my brain doesn't want to think straight for I get a thought for a second and then it disappears just like that. I can't.
And I can vouch for that. Me, her siblings, and her father. We can literally tell when she's getting run down because she has that look on her face of confusion, and then she can't, to put it crassly, she can't brain straight. She seriously cannot keep her thoughts sorted, and we can see that in her. So then those are the times that we have to pull her out of said situations. So in those times, no, she's not fine. She's not good because all of the after effects have caught up with her. And I mean, yeah, she's fine. She doesn't have cancer anymore. She's still here with us. She's still fighting every day just to, try to have some semblance of a normal routine, which, I mean, even that is a foreign concept for you. You've been trying for, well, I would say a couple months more diligently, but even for years. We get a routine, we fall out of routine. We get a routine, we fall out of routine. Then we have a COVID pandemic hit, and there's like zero possibility of a routine when you have 3 extra people in the house with you constantly. And so we're attempting to, with you being, how old are you right now?
I am 16, almost 17.
I mean, she's getting close to that adulthood. It kind of scares me, but also I'm trying to show her ways to have jobs that aren't just high functioning, fast work, things that, require things that she may not have. Or, it has been proven that she doesn't necessarily have that skill set because of the treatment, because of what it's taken from her. I mean, that is the truth of the matter. But, I mean, all in all, you are fine. You are still here. And I say it all the time. I'm lucky I get to hug you. So lucky that I get to hug you. But also, it's work every day, isn't it, Abby?
It really is, and I'm still happy I can hug you, and I know before, I've tried fast games, but I can't even do those. It's too much for me. My whole body's just no, you can't even do that. So a fast job, I would not be able to do that.
Absolutely. And there is nothing wrong with that. There are people of all abilities and all kinds of categories of work all around the world. It's just you have to find what works for you. And considering that Abby likes motivational speaking, and sometimes she can't get around as easily, although we are booking a couple of gigs, so we might be having more information about that coming up soon. That's still kind of on the planning plate right now. For now, we're working on the podcast. But we're trying to find the ways that you can work the way you can work, and you can be a productive member just as well. Because, I mean, take it from me, a person who's a person who is chronically depressed, you're my positive light sometimes. So I think that you could probably be positive light for somebody else. I don't know.
Well, thank you. You're so nice. And I already, when I go out and see people, just have a great day or whatever I say really lifts them up just with that, too. I'm already shining a light. Then I can be a better light and brighter light for many people.
I 110% agree. So that's kind of the reasoning why we're starting this little journey here with our Abigail, just to see if anybody enjoys Abby's positive light she's sharing with them.
What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies!
How are you doing today, Miss Abigail?
I feel pretty great right now.
Do you? I know. I don't feel too bad. I'm a little tired. Got that. Oh, go ahead.
I have to agree with that.
A little bit of rundown. I don't know if it's just because it's end of the week, working hard, Friday, if the weather's kind of doing all that. I'm just kind of I'm ready for a rest.
I definitely agree. I feel the same way. My body's just by the end of the week today.
You do look a little more tired and run down. So I'm just curious. Why don't you tell people, what does tired mean for you? For all of us, or at least I can speak for myself, and I would guess this is a lot of the population, that when you're tired, your eyes want to close, but you have to keep them open. Lots of caffeine or whatever to keep you awake. But also your brain's kind of a little fuzzy, but you still work through your tasks. You might go slower and sludge through it, but for the most part, you're not overly affected. So what does tired look like for you?
Me, I really can't move my body right most of the time. I'm stumbling everywhere. My thoughts, they come and then they just dissipate right after I think about that. And I just can't really do anything that I want to do, right? Because my brain's just so off guard and not literally awake and can't think.
Okay, so let's just talk about a couple of things here. Your body. So, like, is it just that you don't want to move your body these certain ways, or what's going on with your body at those times?
I can't really move them that way. Like, I try to walk or try to move faster. My body just starts tipping every which way, tilting and wobbling.
And I think a lot of that is you actually have a broken vestibular, which if you everyone listening doesn't know, a vestibular is actually located by your ear, within your ear, structuring, and it actually is kind of the area that absorbs a lot of the sound. It actually is in charge of your balance too, we've learned, which is why Abby's actually chemo can eat away. Certain chemos can eat away at those cartilage or small structures within your ear. And it just so happened that the carboplatin chemo ate away at Abby's left side vestibular, and it's pretty much crushed. It's from what we've been told, it doesn't look good. And so that's why she pretty much can't hear out of her left ear. Like, can you hear any sound at all out of your left ear, or?
Not really. Like, say, whenever it's in the morning, I'm putting my right hearing aid in and it's doing the dinging. If you're talking on me, I can hear anything you say until I put this thing in, really.
Oh, yeah. So, like, basically, like, your right ear is dominant. But your left ear, you can hear some sounds, but without your hearing aid, you can't hear really anything. Is that what I'm getting?
Exactly. Like, I can hear stuff, but until my right hearing aid is turned on, I can hear, like, stuff better out of that ear. But my left ear, I can't hear a thing until my hearing aid is in.
Do you mostly just hear, like, the ringing in your left ear then?
Now, I don't hear ringing, but when it's out, like, it's more ringing, and I do feel really dizzy sometimes if I'm really tired when I take it out.
So sometimes your hearing aid even helps with your balance. And I know your hearing aid has that special tone. She has that constant ringing. Is it tinnitus? Is that the word I'm looking for? Where it's constantly ringing. And her hearing aids actually have a programming in it. So not only is it helping her hear, but there's a constant buzz or ringing tone in the background that is countering the ringing she constantly hears, so she's not just listening to ringing all the time. Is that basically the best description?
That's basically it. The bad thing is when it goes to a deep ringing that I've done recently, and it just like,
oh yeah, like vibrates almost that bottom of your jaw type area, and you're like, ooh.
Exactly that.
I've had that occasionally. If I had to deal with that on a regular basis like you, I don't know. I think I might go crazy.
Well, the deep ringing is a rare basis. It's usually like really high pitch or just a light high pitch.
Well, I hope it stays rare, because another thing I should probably just go ahead and inform the listeners. Did you know that actually getting hearing aids for your kid and follow up all the treatment, even if the hearing changes, is dang near impossible? The state only pays for, allows, then the insurance has to pay for one appointment a year for children under 18. And one set of hearing aids every 2 years, I believe it is, or something like that, 4 years. I'd have to look at all the standards again. I try to forget stuff in between the fights. But basically, if she needs any more hearing aid appointments within that year, we have to pay for it out of pocket because insurance doesn't cover it. And those are $1,000 a visit. And, go ahead.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. That's why, in the beginning, she was going every 3 months, I think it was. And then we realized after the fact that we were like, oh, wonderful. So then we reduced it down to 2 times a year because you were still losing hearing. Like, you were actively losing hearing. We needed to keep getting you tested. But also, like, what were our options? Insurance only paid for one of those. The rest is out of pocket. And there's only so much money you have in a family of 6.
Yeah, that is true. Especially, when you have a kid that you still have to pay bills constantly for the hospital. And then, there's other kids that have stuff too you need to pay for.
Top of the fact that you have a kid that you have to stay home to watch, there's not very many services offered for needs. So you have to have an adult, either a nurse or the parent, stay home with this child. So therefore, that parent cannot work or has to find work out of the house. P.S. Everybody, this is a small plug for J-Rage Art and Design. Check us out. I'm part-time caregiver. Wrong slogan. Full-time caregiver, part-time artist. Working on that one. Anyway. But also, we have to find and think outside of the box on how can we try to cover other expenses and things, because sometimes it gets a little tight, doesn't it, Ab?
It definitely does. It's sometimes like, I think we're gonna kind of cross to pay for this, or it's like hard.
Well, and I think what's worse too is, for me, is having to choose if I can afford to get my child the necessary treatment she needs. Like, that shouldn't even be a thing. Yet here in the supposed best country in the world, I'm here to tell you it is a thing. We are living it. Honestly, I've looked into other countries' healthcare systems, and I'm not going to lie, the thought has crossed my mind multiple times that universal healthcare in another country would be more feasible with this situation. So think about that for a minute before you judge me. Anyway, I realize our tiredness tangent has gotten into a little bit of other. So I wanted to, after your body, we started talking about your body, and then we got stuck on your ears. So your body can't move. Your brain and body are not connecting. Your vestibular is messing up, making you feel off balance, making everything feel a little wonky. Your thoughts. What kind of thoughts do you have when you're overtired, or how are your thoughts working?
Well, sometimes we think like, oh, don't forget to grab your water after you sit on the table before you go in, and then I forget to grab my water or whatever I have. Like, I'm like, think something in there. I'm like, then I forget it like immediately, or as soon as I go up to go do it, it's gone out of my head.
So how many times, every adult probably listening to this can relate, how many times have you walked into a room, you were going to go do the one thing, and then you forget what you were going to do, or you brought the thing into the one room, then you went to the other room, and then you forgot where you brought the thing. That's pretty much what's happening to you when your thoughts are just discombobbled. And it's basically, we like to call your brain a Rolodex, and I think it just kind of rolls around and does what it thinks it needs to do in that moment, and then the Rolodex spins again, and then it does what it thinks to do, and then it tries to reconnect those thoughts. Am I anywhere in the ballpark?
Yes, and then we said that, sometimes we give it a big spin and all the cards fly out of the pile, and it's like...
That is so true. That is, sometimes on those days when you're really having as we call them, Abby days. That's the nicest way we can put them. They are Abby days, and maybe I should do a podcast when you're having an Abby day, just so people can understand what we're dealing with. Would you be okay with that?
I would totally be okay with that. I would be okay with letting people know how the struggle I have to go through on certain days.
So when we have an Abby day, I will drag you onto this podcast and try to see what I can get out of you. I can't promise the listeners it's going to make any sense, but you will see what an Abby day is. I promise we will make sure to make that happen. Because the poor kid, she can't help herself, but at the same time, I say whoof, her siblings say whoof, her dad says whoof. She is a handful sometimes. For as amazing she is, you literally, we have to herd her like cattle, or like cats, which is impossible because that's an Abby, to her bed, don't we, Abby?
Yes, you do, and I love that terminology. It made me smile. Seriously, I'm sitting her down still, screwing around, drinking water, doing something on my phone, trying to, staring to the TV.
You're trying to remember what you were going to do. You haven't even taken your hearing aids off or your glasses off. You still need to go to the bathroom and brush your teeth and get your bed ready. And we're like, Abby, get up off the couch.
Or, I started to go do one thing, and then I forget what I was going to do, and then I'm like, I'm wandering around the house.
That, or the thing that happens every time, is then you'll go to the bathroom, you'll come out of the bathroom, you'll see us all standing there, because it literally has come to a thing where, me and Nate and the kids will, kind of block the doorway and around so that she can only go to her bedroom. And then another kid is waiting in the bedroom by the other doors, to block so she can't pass her bed, but gets directed directly into her bed. And she'll see us and she'll start to walk towards us like she's gonna hug us, oh, and we're like, no, get to bed.
That's funny. I seriously can't remember that, but I can believe it.
These are the moments when I'm like, oh my God, thank God she doesn't remember some of this stuff, because, oh Lord. And we should have your siblings be a guest sometime just so they can back me up on some of this stuff. Like, no, Abby, this is what you do. And you're like, I believe it. Like, we're not trying to fill her head with garbage. Like, we're just trying to figure out how to navigate day to day.
No, I can seriously believe it because I know even at nap I do that sometimes where I see them like, oh, hug. And I'm like, no.
You can get love when you're in bed. Right?
Exactly that.
Yeah. So basically your brain shuts down, your body shuts down, and then it just turns into a circus here for us when you're tired. I mean, and sometimes we all feel like that inside, but for this kid, it overtly comes out on the outside too. And
my brain turned into mashed potatoes and you poured the gravy on top.
Well, I mean, we did boil them, mix them, and throw them in a stew or something like that, didn't we?
Potatoes, boil them, mix.
I know I forgot it too about halfway through.
Boil
them, mash them, put them in a
Yeah,
stew.
that's it.
There we go.
I knew doing the whole thing would help us come to it.
I know. But either way, so see, I think part of us being tired right now is we're getting into some weird tangents. So I think we've probably said enough about you being tired. I would love to do a future podcast when you are tired so they can hear you being delirious or hilarious and delirious at once as Abby's creation.
Yes, I'd love to do that too. That sounds really fun. And yes, I do say delirious when I'm delirious because...
You are hilarious and delirious all at once.
Exactly.
Or let's throw in our Coheed reference real fast. The Delirium trigger for all our Coheed fans out there. We literally, we call her that.
Yep, my trigger has been hit and I am delirium.
But anyway, I think we've said enough about you being tired. I think they understand you're quite the funny girl, which makes it easier for everybody else around you to help you out.
Hey all, the Psychotic Psychic here. Either I'm right or I'm crazy with the 13th card, a tarot reading from the Goddess Tarot deck. And for today's card, we have drawn the Upright Transformation card. This is actually from the Major Arcana, and this is a pretty big card. Transformation, the need to allow something to die in order to create room for new. Painful changes that is necessary, creating life out of death. And I know I have felt it. I don't know about you, but it feels like change is coming. There are big changes on the horizon. But if we want change and if we want things to change, then we need to allow things to pass before we can move on into the next phase. And to kind of clarify this more, I've drawn the 14th card, which is the reversed Six of Cups. And that means need to incorporate the past and perhaps painful memories into the present. And to me, what that means is think of the lessons you've learned in the past, and you need to kind of integrate those into the present to get exactly what you are looking for, what you are wanting. Sure, the past can be sad, it can be happy, it can be whatever. But what you need to do is take those lessons you've learned and incorporate that into the now, so that as you are losing part of this life, or part of you, you're transforming into who exactly you want to become. And this has been the Psychotic Psychic with your 13th card tarot reading. Hopefully you have a better insight into the world of childhood cancer and being a survivor. And honestly, being a survivor and symptoms looks different for every child, but we want to give a face and a picture of what it looks like for various things for these kids that go through all these harsh treatments after cancer.
Also, we got a recording of me doing the delirium trigger.
You were definitely quite goofy on that recording. I can't wait to share that with our listeners. I hope that this podcast has been very informative into our world, and I can't wait to share what else we have for our listeners.
Thank you for listening to the Abby Normal Brain podcast. Have a great day!